Now let us see each individual domain of GITCs. We will start by looking at the activities within program changes. Program changes is basically the changes that are made to an ERP system. So from time to time, it is required that certain changes have to be put into the system because there is an error in the program. There could be a new requirement which has come up, a new report has been developed. So whenever systems are modified or ERP is modified, it should be made sure that the systems continue to meet the internal control requirements and are reliable for the purpose of financial reporting objectives. We will understand the program change activities through an illustration. The change management process would work something like this. Initially, there is a need for a change. A change request is initiated by one of the users of the ERP. The change request can also be initiated by the IT team if they have encountered or identified any kind of a bug, or when there is a new patch which has been released by the vendor. A change request is the first step in the change management process. The various types of changes could be a normal change which is initiated by a user. It could be a bug fix. What is a bug fix? A bug is an error in programming which affects the business transactions or reports within the ERP. So for this purpose, a change has to be made to fix the bug. Bugs may also be reported by users who are using the system as a part of the problem management and IT help desk activities. Whenever these are reported by users, the IT evaluates the problem or the bug and provides the required solution. Another type of change could be enhancement. So while there is no error or a bug, there could be new requirements which have come up as a part of regulatory changes or as a part of process changes within the company. When new functionality is added to the ERP, this type of change is called the change request or enhancement. Another type of request could be a minor change request where only a color or some kind of a superficial change is required, which is categorized as a minor change. Then there is a major change, which could be either an enhancement or a new module being implemented. Typically, the difference between a major change and minor change is the amount of effort which is required to perform the change or carry out the change. Another important type of change is an emergency change. Now, emergency change is when there is a problem in the system and it has to be corrected, but there is no time for applying the change management process. So in this case, the normal change management process is bypassed and the change is applied without following the process. However, it doesn't mean that the process should not be followed. It is only the timing of which the process is followed. Whereas in a normal change, the process is followed. In the case of emergency change, the process is followed after the change is made. The necessary documentation and approvals need to be obtained subsequent to the change. The reason for emergency also needs to be recorded and documented. As auditors, we need to be very careful about the emergency changes because emergency changes bypass the normal process. Another important type of change is the changes to infrastructure. Now, IT infrastructure, which is basically the operating system, the database, or the network on which the ERP is running, can also undergo changes. A new upgrade may happen, a new version can be implemented, security patches can be provided by the vendors. For example, Microsoft provides security patches once in a month or as and when there is a new type of risk which is identified. These patches need to be implemented and applied into the ERPs. So like we can see, there are so many types of changes that can be initiated. This could be either by the end users or the business users. or the changes could also be initiated by the IT team itself. Let us move on to see what is the next phase of the process. After a change request is initiated, there is an activity of development. The change is taken by the developer, and the developer starts making the coding or programming change for implementing the same. The next phase in the process is the testing. So once the program is developed, then the testing is performed whether the program is working as it is intended. Here, various types of testing can be done. It can be user testing, it could be unit testing, or user acceptance testing. And once the change is tested, it is implemented into the ERP. This is also called the go live phase. Now let us look at the individual activities within each process. So whenever a new change is required, a change request is initiated. The change will be approved by a person who is a reporting manager or a business manager for that department. For example, if the stores department is requesting for a change in the ERP, the stores manager typically or the head of department typically approves the change. All changes need to be tracked and monitored because every day new changes are initiated. All the changes need to be monitored and tracked to completion. When the change goes to the development, that is after the change is initiated and the approval is provided, the change is going into development mode. During the development, the analysis and design is made. Analysis and design is more detailed when the change is large change. For small minor changes and bug fixes, it is likely that analysis and design may not be required. It depends on the nature and type of change. The coding has to be done as a part of development. Basically, it is the source code which is picked up by the programmer and that is modified as it is required by the change request form. Here we need to be careful whether modifying the code, whether the version of the code is controlled, because if there is a wrong version which is used, it could impact the other features of the ERP. Once the development is done, the programmer moves the change into the test environment for further testing. Unit testing is done by the developer so that the program which is developed or the change which is developed is tested independently to meet the objectives of which it was initiated. Integration testing can be done sometimes when the change impacts multiple areas of business. And finally, a user acceptance testing is done by the end user. Typically, it is a user who has initiated the change and requested for the change in the first place. The user finally gives approval, confirming that the change is as per the initial request, and then the change will be reviewed and monitored for quality purpose. So there is either a quality department or there could be an internal audit department which will review whether all the process and procedures which are required as per the change management process have been followed, whether the programmer has followed the correct coding standards while performing the change. These are all reviewed by the quality assurance team. The next stage would be to approve the implementation of change. Once all the review and quality assurance is performed, typically the IT manager or the head of IT or a manager in charge of implementation of changes will provide an approval for the change to be implemented in production system. For this, it is required that people who have access to production only will be able to implement the same. And finally, after all the approvals are provided, the change is moved to the production environment from the test environment. During this process, it is very critical and essential to ensure that there is adequate segregation of duties for the people who are involved in the change management process. Typically, the person who is initiating or requesting the change should not be also a developer. And typically, the person who is testing should not be performing the migration to the production. So similarly, there could be various scenarios in which segregation of duties will be required to be implemented. Typically, the maker checker, the approver of the change, should be ideally different from the initiator of the change, and likewise. So there could be so many types of segregation of duties that need to be looked into and implemented as a part of the change management process. Last but not the least, the entire process needs to be documented by the company, like who has initiated the change till the time of implementation. The entire chain of events need to be documented and stored for future reference and audit purposes. Now let us look at segregation of environments and also the segregation of duties that should be within a program change process. Typically, when the programs are developed, they are developed in the development environment. So the company should have a separate environment where changes are developed. This environment should be different from the environment of production where the business transactions are processed. In a development environment, typically only the developers or the programmers will have access to the development environment. They will have access to read, write, and execute the programs. Developers can make modifications and changes to the existing programs. End users normally should not have access to development environment, and in this environment, the developers also carry out their testing. Once the unit testing is completed by the programmers and the change moves into test environment. So this is the other environment which should be separate from the development environment. The test environment will provide only read and execute access to the developers. The reason being, developers should not make unauthorized changes to the programs which have already been released for change. No modifications should be made to the source code, and end users should have access to perform testing in this environment. All types of testing, including integration testing and user acceptance testing, are carried out in the test environment. Once testing is completed, the change is implemented into the production environment, where developers should not have any access at all. If at all required, the developers may be granted read-only access. No modifications to the code also can be made in the production environment. End users or business users will have access to the production environment to carry out transactions and business activities through the ERP. Again, in this production environment, the source code is not available to be made or changed. So as we can see, there are three different environments in which the program change process should be working. And this is an example of how segregation needs to be maintained between the various environments. Now let us see an example of how this is implemented in a real life situation. Here we can see an example of one of the popular ERPs where the client has not allowed any changes in the production environment. As you can see, this is a production environment and no changes are allowed to the system in the production environment. And here we can see the layout of the system of the various environments. In this scenario, there is a development environment which is denoted by SBD, and any development which is done is carried through a transport layer to a SBQ, which is a quality system. So this is a development system and this is a quality, or also called the test environment. And once testing is performed, this is the production. SBP stands for the production system. Now this specific nomenclature can vary from company to company, and it is for us to understand how the system landscape has been designed by the company and implemented through the ERP. From here we can see in this specific example that the changes need to be initiated in the development and only carried forward to the quality, from which they will be implemented into production. It is not possible to make direct changes into production because for the production the setting has been set to no changes allowed. So as auditors, this kind of review or looking at this kind of configuration and setting through the system will give us the assurance that unauthorized changes may not happen in this production environment, and that is how we can get the assurance. Now let us look at an example of how documentation can be maintained for the program change process. This is again a real life example of how a company or a client would maintain the process of change management. So here we can see it is ABC company. There is a change request form in the ERP. Now this is a template which is used by one company, but a similar template can be used, or a different type of template can be used by other companies. The critical thing that we need to understand from here is that the documentation has to be maintained by the company. So when we go in as auditors, we can look at this documentation and understand what kind of changes have been made and how the approvals have been obtained. So here we can see the documentation has project name, the specific project ID, and these all could be optional and vary from company to company. The key thing here is who is the requester. So who has actually requested for the change? What is the designation of the person, and contact number and email ID for operational reasons. Another important thing in this form to note is the change request number. We have to make sure that all the changes are numbered in a sequence, so that when we come into audit, we know that all the changes are captured in the system. We can also look at the change date. So this is another critical column when the change request was initiated. This is also required when we come into audit because it will provide all the changes for the duration of our audit period. For example, if our audit period is say from 1st April to 31st March, we should take this date and all the changes which have been made during this date need to be considered as our population. Here we can see the other parameters, like which is the application in which the change is being made. So based on the application, we can either scope in or scope out our testing, because if the application is the in-scope application, only then this form is relevant for us. We also look at what kind of functionality or module has been changed and what are the specifics of the change which have been made. And this is another important field, the status. So status can either be generally at the time of initiation, it is in an open state. Later, it can move into some kind of a development state, then it can go into closed state. There could be several other status in between, and that could vary from company to company. But the thing to remember is this closed status. Why? Because as auditors, we are only interested in those changes which have been closed, which means they are implemented. Other changes which are work in progress, we may not be very much keen to look at because they don't impact the production system, and as auditors we may not have to look into those specific change requests. They don't pose a risk. If you see in the bottom, you can see there are several sign-offs which are provided. Who has requested, when, who is the HOD who has approved. This is typically a manager of the requester. Who has developed the change and who implemented the change, and whether the IT head is aware of the change being implemented. Typically, it is the IT who provides the final implementation go ahead. Here we can see who has done the UAT. So this is one example, and it is likely that in the company that you are auditing, there could be slightly different type of templates or different type of documentation which is maintained. However, the form is not important, but the content of the documentation and the fact that the documentation is maintained by the company is extremely critical for us, because when we go into audit the ERP for the changes that have been made during the year, we need to look at this documentation to get an assurance that changes have been carried out through the due process and no unauthorized changes have been made. In this example, it is a manual form that we have seen. However, several companies implement a ticketing system. A ticketing system is a workflow type of a system which captures all the details which are provided in this form as an electronic document. And the approvals are also provided electronically. Examples could include a remedy, or in the case of SAP, the more popular solution is the SAP Solution Manager, through which all the changes in SAP are managed. So similarly, every company or every ERP will have its own type of a change management system, and the way it is documented needs to be understood by us, and accordingly we can prepare our procedures to carry out the audit.